Well, we've actually got subscribers now. About 400 of them.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. It's
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. You can look at the live cam, but nobody's there. So
are we starting now? These are...
Yeah, these are all running. We are good to go.
Alrighty.
So welcome back to Two Nukes. We're going to get started. We're going to talk some news stuff. Although, this week I'm going to start off with the C story. I would rather do it at the beginning.
All right.
When we're not kind of like tired of all this stupid news we've done.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have a C story you want to share, or is it just going to be me again? I don't mind.
Nothing off the top of my head.
All right.
I wasn't ready for that.
I'm aware I didn't prepare you at all. But you don't deserve that. What I mean is you don't deserve the preparation.
Right.
You deserve what you got.
Yeah, I got it.
Good. I'm glad we're on the same page. So this one is my very first import experience in the U.S. Navy. We were on our way to Rota, Spain, and the guy who kind of features in the story with me, he's been watching these videos. He's been watching Two Nukes, so I got to be very careful. I'm not going to share his name, but you know who you are, and I hope you enjoy this one, buddy. So we were on the way across the Atlantic Ocean, right? It takes us a little while to get there, and we know that we're going to Rota, Spain first. I've never been to a foreign country in my life at that point. I think you were there at one time too, right? Or no, you lived all over the place.
Yeah, I've lived all over.
But
I stopped in the airport.
It was special for some of us then.
Okay.
And on our way over to Spain, he and I talked, and this guy was a virgin, and which is fine. I mean, I think he joined the Navy at 18. It's not that crazy, right?
Pretty common, probably.
Yeah, I would think it is probably pretty common. And so as we're talking on the way over there, I said, well, what if you went over there and saw one of those, those ladies you could pay for? And he said, no way I would do that, and it was all kind of fun and games. And he'd be maneuvering as the, whatever. He was an electrician. I don't want to get too far into it. I'm not going to identify you, brother. I'm not. So we get there though, and he and I, we end up at a place called Don Ticos.
Okay.
Now, Don Ticos is definitely a facility for ladies of the night. We didn't know that when we were going there. We just thought it was a bar. Like, we actually got in the cab.
Sure.
Well, we did. But that's fine. I don't actually care.
He didn't know.
I didn't know either. We asked for, so we did say we wanted girls.
Okay.
And of course, there's a language barrier, right? And so I think he took us to where you could get girls, although we were more thinking like interact with people, buy them a drink, just kind of like have fun.
Right.
And he was thinking, no, you want girls. So he takes us to Don Ticos. As soon as we pull up, I mean, this thing, it looks like a motel out of like from the Bates, Psycho, from Psycho, right? The doors are all on the outside of the rooms, and then
it's like an old-timey motel kind of.
Like an old-timey motel, or I guess a current Motel 8 or something.
Yeah, I guess.
And
still around.
Right. And so, but the what would be the lobby, right? What would be where you go and actually pay for your room? They had turned that into a bar. And you go in there and it's darkly lit, and there's only one entrance. Well, there's a side entrance, and then there's the main entrance. And then to go to where the rooms are, there's this area with like a bouncer and stuff. So like they're taking it pretty seriously. You aren't just free to go to the rooms and stuff, right?
It's organized.
It is. It's very well organized. That's what happens when you legalize this kind of stuff. Look at weed over in all the states where it's legal. Like it's a super organized, like amazing thing.
Ish. Yeah.
Well, look, here's what I know. I love it, and I wish it was legal here. But back to the story. We go to Don Ticos, and we're just sitting in the bar having a drink, and we figure we're probably gonna get another cab. Try to go to a regular bar like we were looking to go to in the first place. When a girl starts talking to my buddy, now again, he's a virgin, so this one-on-one attention he's getting, it feels good. He loves it, right?
Exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting for him, and I don't know how she did it because he was positive. He had told me under no circumstances was he going to partake in this sort of thing, and he all of a sudden he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, bud, I think I'll go with her." I said, "All right, man. That sounds great. You do you. Enjoy it."
He was taking his moment.
Why not?
Yep.
I'm sitting there. I'm going to enjoy another drink or two. I figure like it's his first time. He's going to be,
I mean, when in Rome, right?
10 minutes or so. Like I'm just saying, it's not going to take him very long.
Yep.
I wouldn't think, but it does. 45 minutes later, I'm still sitting there, An hour, I'm still sitting there. And after an hour, I go up to the bouncer guy, and he could sort of understand English, or like he could understand it, but he
Get
could
by.
sort of speak it. And he's like, no, he's busy. He's busy. He goes, 2 girls. And I was like, wait, 2? He goes, yeah. And he's like, oh, getting excited about it. Well, a little bit after this, I see my buddy. He's there at this same guy, and this guy is not just the bouncer, but he's also the guy who takes the credit card and takes their payment. And when I go over there, because they're not letting him through, and I'm like, why aren't they letting him through, right? When I go over there, his card keeps getting declined. Now, we've been at sea for, probably a month at this point. Like, his card shouldn't be declined really for anything outside of tens of thousands, I would think.
I mean, they might just recognize, hey, he's never bought something in another
It's very
country
possible, but so anyway, whenever I talked to him, he said, well, she told me it was going to be 60, and then another girl came and said that she'd join for another 40. So I was thinking 100, but they're trying to charge my card $700 and it won't go through. And I was like, 700?
What'd you guys do?
Yeah, I'm like, it just feels like, we went from sounding, kind of like a bargain to not being one at all. And they very quickly are not happy with us, especially the girls. The girls are just super livid that they're not getting
their money.
They want their money. I get it. They want their money. They introduced my buddy to the world of sex, and they deserve to get paid for it. So they tell us that the only way they're going to let us leave their establishment, because they're a 24-hour business, they don't care, is if we hand them over the cash. Like, there's got to be cash. And I was like, well, bud, I can only get 400 out of the ATM. And he goes, well, I can get I can do 4 and you can do 3. And I was like, okay.
That'll work.
So we talked to the guy and we're like, look, can we go to the ATM? And he goes, no, one of you has to stay. We're going to keep one of you here. And I was like it's a hostage? Sort of, yeah.
Pretty much.
They're gonna keep us there. Like, as long as I like my friend enough, I'll bring back all the money.
Yep.
So I didn't do it that way though. I had him go, and I gave him my card, and I told him what my PIN was, and I said, look, you can get 300 out of mine, 400 out of yours, because we were on Navy Federal, and you were limited to $400 at one day from your ATM card.
Right.
So it's just kind of a problem whenever somebody's demanding $700 cash from you.
Yep.
So he calls a cab. Well, he doesn't call it. The bouncer calls a cab for my friend, and while we're waiting, he and I are just talking like, dude, this is ridiculous. And he is all worried that it's an international incident. And he's like, we've created this huge problem, and they're gonna
kill me.
The Spanish government's gonna contact the United States. And I'm like, over a prostitute, man? Like, that's not the way this goes. The United States is not all that interested in that prostitute getting her money.
You panic about everything your first time.
That's right. So anyway, they call the cab. They're holding me, well, not holding me, but they're keeping me over on the side over here. And the bouncer that's watching me walks him to the front and goes and walks halfway to the cab and then lets him go. But I spot that door on the side, so I dart right out the side door and I dive in the cab and I said, "Get out of here! Go to the Navy base." Yeah, and we get out and then he's super nervous. He's like, "They really are going to call. They're going to call.
We're getting arrested."
Yeah, they're going to call the embassy." And I'm like, "The embassy? That's for us, man. Like, the embassy's on our side." And
this prostitute needs her money.
So anyway, there were other people from the boat that were there, a couple of them, right? And one of them happened to be a guy named, honestly, that's the truth. I can't remember his name, even though I did also remember that I'm not supposed to use names.
Yep.
But he was Hispanic and straight up, probably lived half his life in Mexico, Hispanic.
Right.
Well, he let me know on the boat that, in fact, that bouncer who seemed like he was working against us caused the charge not to go through the whole time because he knew the girls were taking advantage of him.
Oh.
He knew there was no way 2 girls for this amount of time should have been $700, and he wasn't going to allow that to happen to this young kid. And so he stopped the charge from going through.
So it was just a communication barrier.
He also didn't care that I escaped. Like, whenever I left, apparently he talked to this other guy from the boat and said, yeah, no, we're not worried about them. They're, he let them know. And so basically my friend went from 60 to 100 to $700 to free. And if that's not consensual sex, I don't know what is. He paid $0.
Yep.
As far as I'm concerned, that's a good cherry busting.
That reminds me a little bit of that Game of Thrones character, Podrick, I think is what his name was.
Are you mean the little person that liked to?
No. So there's a little person.
Oh, Podrick. Yeah, the one who was always with hookers.
They send him to go lose his virginity.
That's right.
And then the I can't remember his name. The short guy.
Podrick was like the son of the bastard son of the king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he went to that whorehouse or whatever in the show. And then the girls wouldn't take his money, and he was there all day, and they couldn't figure out,
that's right.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, that's right. Because he was especially well equipped.
I believe that was the gist. Yeah.
That was at least what they wanted us to believe.
Yeah.
He was well equipped for the venture. Transgender people in southern states are having to flee, and at least one person said that it felt genocidal, which is definitely hyperbole. I agree. Nobody's actually going through and burning down houses and killing people that are transgender. However, whenever you look in the face of the suicide numbers, which are attempts are at 50% or so around transgender people who are not accepted. Transgender people who are accepted are closer to a quarter. They still are much higher than the general population in suicide attempts. However, whenever you look at that extra 25% attempts and you say, I don't care, to me, using the word genocide, even though it still is a little strong for that, it makes sense at least. You are saying more people are going to die and I don't care. And in fact, I'm bigoted enough, or I want to do whatever this thing is that's increasing their suicide risk. I'm good with it and I want to do it.
So I am disagreeing with that.
Of course you are.
I will say I saw a study fairly recently that people always quote, transgender children who are not accepted, or I think it's like 5 times more likely to commit suicide than the average person or average peer in that age group. But I saw something the other day that was saying basically in that same pure age group, if you're just diagnosed as being depressed, you're at about the same level of committing suicide as a transgender child.
An unaccepted or an accepted one?
Or unaccepted, sorry.
Okay. So then in this, that's still a very pointed message. You not accepting them is driving them to depression, which is driving them to suicide ideations. So it's still connected, man.
But I don't necessarily like this person's child in this article is 7. I'm blown away that 7 is, and people go even younger than that. 3-4 years old, people are saying that their children are choosing a different gender at 3 years old. I don't think that is something that a child even really knows about.
So while it's semantics, and here's why what you're saying is only semantics, it doesn't matter. Okay? Because you're not actually doing anything surgical, chemical, or anything by letting them use a different name and figuring out who they want to be.
Okay.
So all you're doing is you're giving them the wherewithal to say, here's who I am, here's who I want to be, here are the steps I want. And by the way, they can come up with steps you don't want to give them. I have a non-binary child. All right, they're 11. Literally all the time I'm telling them, you can't do this, you can't do that. Here are your bounds. I definitely want to give you space to figure out who you are. I want to give you the breath to go out there and see what you're comfortable with. But what I'm not going to do is let you take steps that I don't think are safe or that I think are too much for your age, right? And so as far as I'm concerned, this is really easy. It's really simple. You either show them some support or you slam the door in their face and you just see what happens. Maybe they live, maybe they don't. And I guess you don't give a...
I think you are in a different position. At 11, you're reaching middle school age.
I agree.
They're
I agree, but
aware of changes.
But here's the difference. Here's the difference. The difference is they have more rope than I would give a 3-year-old.
Sure.
So for a 3-year-old...
I think a 3-year-old is just inviting confusion.
So let's just say my 3-year-old's name is John. I don't have a 3-year-old and I don't have a kid named John. But I've got a 3-year-old named John in this scenario, right? And John tells me they want to be Jennifer. And they want to wear a dress. They want to be Jennifer. Why do I care?
I think...
Like, why do I stop them?
It depends on the situation. If it's just a fun thing for a day...
It could be... They literally think it. But they're 3.
Sure.
But they're a 3-year-old that literally thinks it.
Okay, and you don't want to correct them.
Why?
What do you mean?
Why correct them? So here's the
Because
thing.
you're inviting long-term confusion, I think.
You're not, or at least I don't believe so.
Okay.
So Native American tribes held like 7+ genders forever, or like certain tribes, right?
Okay.
Because gender is seriously not just binary. There are more than two, because gender, we're just talking about how you feel and how you think. We're not talking about your actual parts, right? And by the way,
but you may not be. The vast majority of these other people, I think, are like.
well, I don't know that they are. I know that everyone against it is.
No, if you watch a lot of these interviews with some of these therapists who are going out there and gender affirming 3-year-olds and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that they are going obscenely overboard.
Oh, okay. So I'm not going to say other people don't go overboard. But what I'm saying is, there's a way to navigate this that you don't have to make the child depressed. You don't have to tell them no, 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 no every time.
I don't disagree with that. But
So
I think the left, in a lot of cases, is going way overboard.
So look, if you want to talk about a side going way overboard, stop it right there, because the right wing has lost their ever-loving minds.
I don't
and they're
disagree that both sides are going overboard.
No, it's not a both sides thing.
But it's the wings that are going overboard.
But your both sides thing, your false equivalency is bullshit.
No.
Here's why it's bullshit. So yes, the left goes a little crazy on things. The right, they literally, and not you're not on the wing.
Sure.
Literally, I've heard right wingers say these people need to die.
I've heard left wingers say the same thing about right wingers.
The ones who want my kid dead.
Nobody wants your kid dead.
The right wingers who want the transgender kids to die definitely want my kid dead.
I've never heard that from.
You just heard me say they're out there saying that they want them to die, and you said, "Well, I've heard left say they want them to die." So that means you weren't combating it then.
I'm saying I've never heard anyone of any legitimate backing say anything like that. If there's people on the internet, we talked about this, I think last episode with, I don't remember what the topic was, but that we agreed that there's people out there that are insane nutbags. There's going to be that everywhere, but that's not who is making any change, any real change. The people that are making the real change are the ones that nobody's calling.
You had something you wanted to bring to the table.
Yeah, well, this kind of tied into the last one. I guess just talking about what's okay and not okay in front of people. I saw this one. I briefly read it, but I guess they did for Pride Month. They had an event at the White House, and they brought on a transgender model, and she decided to flash her boobs and jiggle them in front of everybody at the White House. And her response was it was just being free in her own skin and stuff. But that's not acceptable in everyday society, let alone in a formal event.
When you say transgender, they are a male at birth or female at birth?
I believe male at birth.
So then these are implants, and they present female though.
Yes, yeah,
okay.
100%.
So then they have female parts at least on top.
Right.
So, I have multiple opinions when it comes to.
You would never see a guy, like, it's obviously more acceptable for men to walk around topless in society, but you're never going to see a guy rip his shirt off and jiggle his boobs.
If you want to talk about the White House, I'm completely on board with you.
That's what I'm talking about.
But then I do think this opens up to a bigger discussion that is always worth having.
Okay.
So New York a few years ago, and I'm pretty sure it got voted down. I don't know for sure. So if you guys know, comment, put it in the comments, because I don't remember. But they were trying to make it, some people were trying to make it so that women and men would have the same rules on wearing a top, like in Central Park. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a good, compelling case there. So for one,
in a public park, something like that, yeah, I think there might be a more compelling case.
Right.
Still iffy on it, because you're trying to take your children there or whatever. That's not something you want.
Yeah, but see,
if you have a 13-year-old boy who's got all those hormones,
I understand what you're saying.
They're just going to be staring, and you have to teach your 13-year-old not to stare and stuff.
Okay, so then like a mini skirt, do we not get to wear mini skirts? Because they'll stare at that too.
I don't disagree, but it's still not flesh.
So I understand, but all right, so they'll stare at a woman.
I mean, you still teach them the same thing. You're still teaching them the same things.
So they'll stare at a woman who's breastfeeding as well, right? So do we want to limit breastfeeding?
I think that's a different situation.
It is different.
B, most people, when you come across that, you feel bad staring, right? Like,
of course, I do.
A woman
but a 13-year-old doesn't.
Yeah, a 13-year-old, I think, still would.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
It's a little bit different of a scenario, but it's also that's someone feeding their child
So I
briefly
think that-
for a couple minutes. It's not.
I think that if we were to get the stigma done from out from that,
Mhm.
and then we were to say, you know what, no, we can let the sexes kind of represent equally, and like you don't have to wear a shirt or whatever. I honestly think we'd be a lot like European nations who don't freak out over a boob. And it would be nice if we didn't have to freak out over a boob.
I don't disagree with that. That's long-term change that takes conditioning of society.
Yeah,
I
but
guess
like,
is what
okay,
you'd call
so
it.
now, right. So this story goes in two ways, all right? One, I actually like the idea of the free the nipple or whatever it is that because there's different, like on Instagram, I know there were women that were trying to free the nipple. Good. I'm glad. I hope you get it. Not just because I want to see it. Like, I don't mean that.
Use the right platform.
I mean because I think that it's a valid, I think it's a valid thing that they've got in their heads that like, why am I restricted more than my male counterparts when there are guys walking around with bigger boobs than some of the women that want to show them?
Yeah.
So, in fact, like we were driving the other day and there's a big guy out there mowing his lawn, like he didn't have a shirt on, right?
Mhm.
Big old boobs. And my wife, she looks over and she goes, "Oh, that's disgusting." And I'm like, "What? So if he was some svelte guy, you'd be into it?" She goes, "Well, yeah."
Duh.
And I'm like, "All right, that makes sense. I get it." But seriously, if she has to see that, that's super uncomfortable. Like some monster out there mowing his lawn. Like I don't think we have to have some of these extra rules. I don't. And I think a lot of them came from this prudish society that we came from, and the Puritan type garbage, and the same place that some of these right wingers, these evangelicals, want to take us back to.
Well, that's also your front yard. That's on your own property.
I
you know,
agree.
like this,
But like he could
In
walk
general.
around. He could walk around anywhere though, based on our laws. Not. I mean, like, agreed.
Sure.
Agreed. You're not gonna see him in the White House.
right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Not gonna see that. But like, he can go wherever he wants, and a woman who's well kept, like, can't.
Right.
Right. And so I there is a dichotomy there that I don't think is fair, and I don't think we should promote it the way that we do.
Everyone's, I guess, standing up for this person and trying to. They're starting the free the nipple movement.
Yeah.
and,
so I
and trying to make excuses.
That's
But
the thing.
it's okay.
I
It
support
is-
half their movement.
Right, but it's okay for people on your side, supporting this whole movement, to come out and
Mhm.
say, "Hey, not everything is acceptable, and,
Sure.
and not everything is okay to do just
Sure.
because
Sure. I'm on board with
love
you. This one, I love this because Bill Barr spent the time in the White House, or not really in the White House, right? The time as Attorney General for Trump.
Right.
He spent most of that time defending every little thing Trump did, right? Oh, the Russia hoax, the impeachment,
which turned out to be
the
correct.
impeachment
He was
hoax
correct in
1
the
and
opinion.
impeachment hoax 2, which, by the way, neither one of those were hoaxes. Both impeachments were legit. Quid pro quo was very, very blatantly clear on the phone call. The one that he says is a perfect phone call.
with
He
with
very
Ukraine.
Yeah, he very
Okay.
clearly asked for political dirt in exchange for money that had already been released by Congress.
Is that along the same lines as Biden saying, "I won't give you the $1 billion unless you fire this top investigator in Ukraine"?
You're talking about whenever he was
Quid-
vice president?
Quid pro quo. Yeah,
So I don't know that that's fully proven, but however,
that he said it on
So-
camera.
okay, so I'd have to go back and look at it.
Yeah,
I'm
that
gonna
was
tell you
on
what,
camera.
you're coming in with something on as well versed on. That to me sounds like quid pro quo.
Yep.
And I'm not okay with that either.
Yep.
Because I want everyone held to these standards, not just my party or your party or whatever, right? So in this case, impeachment 1 was no hoax.
Mhm.
Russia definitely didn't end up being what a lot of us, including myself, thought it was going to be.
I'm talking about I already forgot what the
The
first
scandal.
impeachment
Well,
was.
the idea
that he was
The P-tapes.
working with
the P tapes.
yeah, all of that was fake.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm saying I even thought there was more smoke than there should have
Yeah.
been. I thought there could be fire, right? But there wasn't, and that's fine. But impeachment 2, look, man, he had his hands in that effing riot, and you'll never convince me he didn't. And
I don't
I
hold
want
him personally accountable. For,
I know you
for
don't.
The extent
I know you don't because you
Yeah.
love him. But what I'm saying is he went out there. He had speakers that he intentionally had go out there and say we're gonna have trial by combat. He said we're gonna fight with strength. I'm gonna march over there with you. He used a lot of fighting words, right? And then they went over there, and then they went over there and they fought the Capitol Police. And
That's like any riot.
January
Right? Any
6th.
riot develops, any
January 6th.
movement so far, protests like that,
January 6th
has
is one of-
devolved in the last several years.
January 6th
Always
is one of the
devolved.
darkest days we've had as a country, in my opinion.
I
know you.
wildly disagree.
I know you do. I know you do. I know that you're probably fine with them running through the Capitol with a Confederate
Absolutely
flag.
not. Absolutely not. I think
I'm not okay with it.
It's ridiculous to say that
But
it's
the
one
fact
of the
that
darkest
30%
days in the country.
Because the fact that 30% of the country still supports it is what makes it dark. It's not the actual incident itself. It's
That still supports people going into the building.
no. I'm saying that still supports the movement that did it.
Because everyone knows. So I think we've got a couple other articles. About
We do. We get to more.
It is, I think, on both sides clear to everybody that if they put any amount of effort that they've put into Trump into any other Capitol official, not just Biden, but anybody, they're going to dig up some dirt on all of those
I
people.
disagree. They'll do nearly
the
as
fact
much
that
dirt.
I
disagree.
I think
No,
with a lot of them, you'd
I
find
think-
far more.
I think Trump's one of the dirtiest people we've ever elected in any office.
I
And-
think he's one of the dirtiest people because they've investigated him tooth and nail.
Oh, no.
Far more than anybody else.
no, he's dirty because he's just dirty.
I disagree.
That's the thing about being dirty.
I think
You're just
Biden.
dirty.
If they investigated the Biden family,
That's all your stupid
they're
House
not-
Republicans
they're-
want to do.
yeah, that's what they want to do, but you guys won't.
No, they are
guys
doing
won't.
it. They are doing it. They're not finding anything.
No, the FBI is
No.
not doing it. They're
They're
slow walking
finding.
it. That's
dark-
what some.
By
of these
the way,
articles-
the head of the FBI is still your guy. It's Ray. It's the guy Trump appointed.
okay,
Right. So it's
Trump
stop,
appointed him.
Stop saying you guys
All right.
won't investigate. We are.
okay, we'll see.
You are. And you know what they're finding?
I beg to differ.
I know.
What's
Because
what's
you have a
that
book that
article-
you still refuse to bring.
So what's the $5 million bribe that is on paper that the FBI is slow walking
You're-
that investigation for 5 years?
Show it to me.
Okay,
You have it here.
I don't know if it's.
I'm gonna move on in this article though.
Okay.
While you're looking, the interesting thing I thought from this article was how Bill Barr said if even half of what Trump's being accused of here gets proven,
Right.
that he's toast. And he goes on to say he was shocked by the sensitivity of the documents, how many there were, and he thinks the counts under the Espionage Act, which of course are the worst ones, that he willfully retained the documents, that they're solid counts. Like he sees enough evidence that he thinks all of these indictments are.
Well, yeah, and I'm curious what they're going for with the Espionage Act. Like I heard something about it, but I'm curious.
Well, the biggest thing is,
are they
so-
trying to say he was intentionally giving those
No.
to other nations?
No,
or
they're
something?
well, no. So what they're saying is that he, whether intentionally or unintentionally, did not do what he would need to do to secure them, as he brought tons of foreign people to his Mar-a-Lago estate where these things were at. In some cases, just in a bathtub.
Right.
It's ridiculous, in my opinion. Like this documents thing is ridiculous. And oh, by the way, let me go ahead and state this for everyone, including my idiot here to my left, my idiot
You
friend.
almost said right. That would have made
My
me
idiot friend here. Because I was thinking to the right of the political spectrum,
Uh-huh.
right? But you're on my left.
Yeah,
You're just very right of me on the political spectrum. That's I hate that you called me out for that. So I mean, I do like that. Like, you know, Trump says he'll never quit running for president, regardless of if he's convicted and all that stuff. I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid that somebody with this many counts has this many people that want him to run.
I think
I also think it's stupid for your party because
I
I
don't
don't think
disagree.
he can win. I know that you may think he can win. I don't know, but like,
regardless of whether he could win, I don't think he should.
here's
run.
the problem.
I
He's
think
got
everyone wants someone
like
new
40% of the Republican Party absolutely loves him, right? They don't want to vote for anybody else. But the other 60 don't really like him. And
Right.
everyone that's not a Republican absolutely hates him.
Right.
I don't think he can win because of that.
But I think if they put forth a solid candidate, which they're putting a ton of candidates out
Well,
there,
DeSantis is not solid.
not saying necessarily him, but
Yeah.
somebody new and fresh, I think is going to take.
I want
take
somebody
a
new
hit
and
this
fresh
year.
on both parties.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Man,
think
I
that's-
want...
If you guys don't put anyone forth and just keep Biden,
Get a progressive in there. I'm so tired of these old, awful
on
corporate
you guys.
Democrats.
I think that's
When you say you guys, like, I would love to vote for anybody other than Biden.
Yeah.
Absolutely love to. I know that you would love to vote for anybody other than Trump, and like you don't get that option either.
I'd vote
Maybe.
for anybody over Biden too. Though.
Oh, that's fine. that's fine.
Okay, so
I also like the fact that Trump called Bill Barr lazy, weak, and a gutless pig. And now I couldn't remember, was it Biff Tannen in Back to the Future that said gutless pig? I feel like I hear him saying, "You gutless pig." Like
Maybe.
in the I'm talking about the old Wild West Biff Tannen, the gunslinging Biff Tannen,
which I think
and I
was
feel
the
like he's
third
saying,
movie?
"You gutless pig." Yes, the third movie, Back to the Future 3. Aptly
I can see
titled.
that.
Aptly titled
It's
Back to
not
the Future
ringing
3.
a bell, but I can see what I'm saying.
I hate manure. You gutless pig. I just feel like it's him.
It sounds right.
I just it's not, but like, and I also just want to do his voice.
Yeah.
It didn't do good for my voice, but I really enjoyed doing it.
Nice try.
So I had fun. But
I just did it.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah.
Morgan settled the lawsuit just a few weeks ago. Another bank settled the lawsuit.
Okay.
So no, this is just a settlement. They wanted to avoid court.
Okay.
For $290 million.
All right.
This is for Jeffrey Epstein's victims.
Oh, okay.
Which the bank said they had nothing to do with. I think $290 million says otherwise.
So, all right, it's to his victims.
And really, it's one main victim, a Jane Doe, and then any other victims that may sign on. I think the other case was something like $75 million or something. So between the two, they're cutting in close to $500 million.
I'll be honest with you. I don't see the reason that they paid this much money.
It's a shocking amount to say that they were involved in no way.
It is, and I'm not understanding their culpability. So they're not paying out. They're not paying it out of his money that he had in the bank, right?
No.
All right,
it's the bank's money.
Because obviously his estate would have gotten that and went wherever it went.
So they already, I think, seized his whole estate and are divvying up that money.
But that's what I'm asking. Did it come out of that?
No, this $290 million is
okay.
A settlement from the bank themselves.
Well, then I honestly, and I saw where they sealed a lot of the.
Yeah. I think the gist of the argument was that the bank obviously knew what was going on, and with transactions that were happening, would normally be forwarded as those SAR reports,
okay,
suspicious activity reports.
Yeah,
and I think they blatantly ignored all of that and allowed it
because he had so much money. They were just like, push it through.
And I wouldn't doubt that they have some executives that may have been involved.
Well, maybe, but like even if it was just the fact that he's such a high level client, he's got billions in your establishment. You're going to want to do whatever he wants just to keep him happy because you want those kind of customers. Obviously, that's it, man. That's an interesting one. That's
a shocking amount.
It is a shocking amount. Almost $300 million. I would never pay that. Well, I don't have it. But if I did have it, I'm not paying that unless I did something.
I better be guilty.
Yeah, right.
I better be guilty.
Right. Like if you just, not you, like if somebody accused me of like sexual assault or something like that I know I didn't do.
Right.
There's zero chance you're going to take a significant portion of my money to stay out of court.
Yep.
Like I would say my max is going to be probably $1,000 to stay out of court, which I don't think anybody would take.
Right.
But that out of my money, like that's the most I feel like I could pay and not significantly hurt myself.
Yep.
And obviously, I know I didn't do it, and so yes, staying out of court would be nice.
Yep.
But I think you start talking about that, anything above that, and I'm like, let's go to court.
Yep.
I'm sure that they will. I'm sure the facts will come out. I know I didn't do anything wrong. Like if this bank knows it didn't do anything wrong, I feel like for $300 million, almost $300 million, they should have just gone and proved that in court.
Yeah, at least go to court and prove. Hey, look.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. That's a good story. Or, I mean, not a good story. Texas. It's interesting. We have joined some other states in now allowing and having kind of a mechanism for student athletes in college level to make money off their name, image, and likeness.
Yep.
I really just want to say that I'm glad we're joining the more enlightened states that have done this, because to me, not just to me, so this is indisputable. Almost every college athlete is a legal adult in the United States.
I don't disagree. Yep.
So I think you could end up there at 17 or whatever, but you're probably not actually ahead of your peers athletically.
Right.
So honestly, by the time you're a star athlete, you're going to be an adult. I don't think anyone should ever tell any adult they can't sell their signature, that they can't make money off their likeness, and
especially if the school's making
exactly.
Money.
Well, they used to do even worse.
So I don't disagree.
They had that video game deal.
That's what I'm saying.
Where they had actually it looked
schools were getting hundreds of millions of dollars.
That's right.
And using the actual players
and had to share zero of it.
Right.
And say, well, you get a free education. Oh, really? What if they don't want that? And by the way, it's even dirtier than that to me. So like especially football. So in football, you have to be three. I can't make a three with my hands right now. My hand is like sore from
German way.
No, well, I get three. It's like I got some muscle pain in there. So I've got. Yeah, no, it's not from that.
Okay.
I'm left-handed, but I always use my right hand for that.
Stranger danger.
Just so you guys know,
stranger danger.
This is the hand. Stranger danger. So you got an adult here, and NFL says you have to be 3 years removed from high school to be able to get paid by their league.
Right.
Now, if you have a marketable skill at the age of 16, by the way, our country says you can make money on it. And in some states, they've dropped it down to 13 or 14.
Right.
So you're telling these people, well, because your skill is this, you can't possibly earn a living until you're like 22, 23.
Right.
Crazy. It's crazy.
And it's difficult to navigate. So I don't disagree with doing this because the schools were making money off of it.
Right.
What I think should have happened a long time ago is the schools shouldn't have been able to make money off of it.
Well, yeah,
that
right.
should have been illegal from the get-go.
If you could have stopped that before it became a multi-billion-dollar industry, you might have had a chance.
And now it's just going to become even more shady.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I mean, like I saw, there's schools now that are actively recruiting students that aren't at the top of their game and aren't going to help win games or anything like that, but are just going to bring in more dollars. That's not what school's for. That's not what the student-athlete programs are for.
Yep.
In my opinion. I think it's only going to cause more problems. We're not going to see the heights of what people can reach anymore because you're not actively going for the best people. You're going for, hey, who looks good? Who's got a fun attitude that's going to bring in dollars,
right?
Whether or not they're good at playing the game.
Well, you know, the other thing about this whole athlete thing is like they weren't even allowed to buy them like a hamburger. Like they were getting so strict that if you bought somebody dinner because they were hungry, you could be in trouble as a school. That's crazy.
Well, and now, like, what's to stop someone from buying students? Because prior you couldn't buy your students cars and homes and stuff like that. That's got to be out the window. Can't. The school can't directly, but I guarantee they'll find. Oh,
no, they're backers.
Let's bring in this.
Their backers do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so they're millionaire backers.
So we had all those.
I don't care if they make that. I don't care if they earn that. So as far as I'm concerned, they've earned it.
If it's for playing the game and actually getting recognized for being a star at that game, sure.
Right.
But if it's just for, we want you to come because you're sexy. And
you mean like Tim Tebow? Like where people just loved him even though he kind of stunk?
I mean, in college, he was fantastic.
I know.
I was like, he was stellar.
I'm just joking around. So I just like to bring him up because he's always funny to me. The one thing I like about this, though, is I'm a Texas A&M fan, and this definitely helps them compete on a national level, although Texas A&M's own ineptitude will probably sink them.
Also, good luck to the schools that don't have the funding of Texas A&M and those. Those other huge.
But
schools.
even Texas Tech and Baylor and TCU and SMU, like all these Texas schools have some money behind them, right, and can do some things. Yes, I do agree. An HBCU, they're gonna be in some trouble. They don't get nearly the funding these other schools have. But then again, maybe you become a school that focuses more on education, less on football.
God, I hope so.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, so we're good at math. You're good at football.
Yep.
I mean, I know that most kids in the country are not going to go play football professionally. So you still got a lot of kids that are looking for math schools.
Right.
You know,
throw some money in there. CNN legal analyst is appalled by the drawn-out Hunter Biden probe. This is preposterous, he says.
Okay.
So back to what we were talking about earlier. These FBI agents and Department of Justice officials actively slow walk. That's what some of the whistleblowers came to Congress to say, is that anything involving the Biden family is actively slow walked.
Who are those whistleblowers?
FBI agents.
No, where are they?
What do you mean?
Well, they disappeared. Remember they
came and got interviewed by Congress.
And then they disappeared. Like, remember, because I saw all your representatives.
Where do you want them?
I don't know. I want them to actually still be there. But see, now they're coming to the American public and they're saying, well, our whistleblowers, we can't find them.
I haven't heard. What do you mean?
You didn't see that story?
I haven't seen that.
All right, you can keep going.
Okay,
I'll
keep going with this. The investigation that this guy is specifically talking about isn't even Hunter Biden's other stuff that, maybe he is helping his dad get money from Burisma or something like that. This is just when he bought the gun and he lied on that form. This should be a 3 to 4 week investigation, I think the guy says, and it's been 5 years. But why is that taking so long?
James Comer, who is a Republican from Kentucky. So I think he says James Comer is how he pronounces it.
Okay.
Anyway, he was mocked after claiming his informant that his whole charade was built on is missing. I'm saying charade, and so is this article, but like this article is definitely anti-Republican. So anyway, the panel, the House Oversight Committee, can't track down the key informant in their probe into Biden's family's business dealings, right? The Biden crime family that you guys all believe in, now the guy's gone. So, he got called out on TV for it, like, you don't have any facts, you're not bringing anybody. He's like, well, I can't find the informant. And they said, well, unfortunately, we can't track him down. We're hopeful the informant is still there. The whistleblower knows the informant. The whistleblower is very credible. So, I'm just saying.
He follows it up with, he's in the spy business. So, yeah, I mean, if
Comer
added, in this country?
Added that no president has ever been accused of the things that the Biden family has been accused of. Right, because you guys are making shit up. And so the laundry list is longer than anyone else ever gets to. I agree.
Wait, go back up.
Well, it's just what I'm saying
sounds like Clinton got to him.
Yeah, I get it. It's really easy to go, well, we had an informant, but now we don't. And so it's all okay.
So for this one, this one over here, talking about the $5 million bribe from Burisma to his father.
Yep.
Comes from a trusted and highly credible FBI informant. That's per the FBI saying that, right?
Okay.
Highly trusted and credible. He's been with the FBI for like over a decade, providing them trusted information that's been very useful in the past. This guy met with the owner of Burisma. The owner of Burisma says he has voicemails and video of this bribe with Joe Biden.
Man, on this one, you can almost see Hunter Biden's little Biden.
It's close.
Yeah.
Good thing they cut it off and didn't
Little
wave
mini
it on.
Biden.
Should have waved it on camera at the White House.
Oh my God, maybe. I don't think he got an invite to the White House. I know that he's the son, but like, he's definitely got to be the son that nobody wants to see at Thanksgiving.
Right.
Like, oh my
It's
God.
that story.
I want to talk about the decorum that's going on here.
Right.
Because I understand that you can be a Nazi in this country. I understand that we have freedom of speech, freedom of thought, whatever. Nazis are allowed, right? I also understand that Nazis love DeSantis. Like, he's very authoritarian. He loves to suppress minorities and LGBTQ, and he really speaks to them on kind of a personal level, I think. And so I understand that they support him. And so my biggest problem is that they're protesting outside of Walt Disney World as families roll up with their kids.
Yeah.
And they have to see these stupid Nazi flags right in front of Mickey. I'm not blaming DeSantis for supporting them. I am saying that he has appalling policies that draw people like that. That's my opinion. My opinion is his.
I mean, that's like saying,
Sorry?
That's like saying the MAPS, minor attracted people, support Biden.
That the what?
Minor
minor attracted people.
MAPS,
Right,
Minor
so-
attracted people vehemently
So
support
I remember
Biden.
them being called NAMBLA from South Park, North American Man Boy Love
That's right.
Association.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
but so I hadn't heard them called MAPS before. But
That's what. That's
of
the
course,
new-
that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Of course, that's disgusting. And
So is this. Just
no, they're both
It's
disgusting.
disgusting, yeah.
Right? Yeah. I'm just pointing out this.
I guess this
disgusting.
kind of ties into the other one that we were talking about with student athletes getting paid
Yeah.
nowadays. This kid's only 14. I just thought this was cool. He's
Yep.
14. He graduated from the University of California at 14, and now he just got hired on by SpaceX. As-
Love him.
Yeah.
I love this kid.
I just love seeing
I-
the fact that a genius is real. You get to watch him make it through because you only ever hear about this person graduated with their
Yeah.
PhD at 16.
You know, my only problem with this kid. Here's my problem with this kid:
Mhm.
is he took a job from SpaceX, who notoriously underpay their engineers. Like, they are. In fact, Elon Musk has talked about it. He has said that a big portion of your compensation, if you want to work at SpaceX, is the mission, going to Mars and things like that. That's supposed to excite you enough that you don't really care about the pay. And I got to tell you, as someone who worked at SpaceX for a short while, I cared about my pay. I also liked the mission, but I wanted more money.
I will say we're on a different level. I worked at a facility with a bunch of NASA engineers for a while.
Yes, I know you did.
With the actual, masters and PhD engineers,
Uh-huh.
those guys could always care less about the dollar. It seemed like
Uh-huh.
they really wanted to be there just for the work. They were
So that's
always
fair.
excited about the work. They didn't care about the money. When they went home, it was to do more studies and then come back. So
So it's
Most-
fair that there are people like that.
Yeah.
But I got to say, demanding that your people are like that, to me, automatically means you're not going to get the very best. Or not all of the very best, right? So like if you want these 5 people, and these 5 people are just the best in their respective businesses, if you're lucky, 2 or 3 of them are going to be okay with taking less money,
right.
but you're going to lose 2 or 3. And
Yes.
so if you're really like, look, we've already seen what he cares about, what he thinks about his workforce with Twitter. He just gets in there and fires everyone. Like, hey, it's going to work.
disagree, but what other rocket company is sending rockets up to space right now, like SpaceX? Nobody.
So there's that Blue.
Blue Origin?
Yeah.
I think they just closed down.
Well, damn. All right, I guess they don't exist. I don't know, but that's not even the point for me. Like, not just in there, but in Tesla and with Twitter and with everything else he owns. Like, I just wish the guy would come out and fully support people making what their level of experience, knowledge, and technical expertise should give them. That's what I want.
And I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying those people shouldn't earn that because they're the ones doing the real work that nobody else can do.
Yep.
I do think they need to be getting a bigger piece of the pie. But at the same time, if they're happy with the way
Yeah,
things
no
are-
way I was going to skip this story. We got to talk about it because, again, I do blame. I don't blame fully. I mean, there's a lot of people that have blame in the January 6th riots.
Right.
But I definitely think Trump played a part. I definitely think that he purposely played a part. And I think that he did not care about the repercussions. I absolutely believe the stories that people have said of him in there watching TV, giddy because of what was going on. 100%.
But do you think that's the outcome he wanted? It was for people to actively go in and attack?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
I think that matters.
So, well, I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all, but I am saying that, like, I'm not saying he should be fully. I'm not saying like the whole thing should be his fault and like he should go to jail for every single thing that happened there, right? What I'm saying is he played a role, and he definitely should be held accountable for that role.
Right.
And that's why I thought impeachment was such a good process, because impeachment can simply be high crimes and misdemeanors and things that don't uphold the level of your office, right? What he did to me was way beneath a president, in my opinion. But here's this next part. The reason I'm bringing this up is he gave a post-indictment interview to Roger Stone. Of course, that's not surprising. And he says, our country has to protest. This thing is a disgrace. It's a disgraceful indictment. It shouldn't happen, and it was done for political reasons. Now, I will say, Christopher Wray, again, was appointed by himself, by Trump.
Right.
So the FBI is not, they're not out there just doing Biden's bidding right now. They're just not. What are the political reasons? Trump claims that the timing of his indictment was to cover up a massive crime perpetuated by Hunter Biden.
Right.
So Trump actually thinks that the big fish here is Hunter Biden, and Trump is only worth going after as a flare, as like a countermeasure.
I think he's saying they announced it to distract from the Hunter Biden investigation.
I think that's really stupid.
So it came out this week. This week was when, or prior to this indictment, is when they announced the
I think
the tape with
that if you
Biden accepting.
I think that if you believe that Biden is a bigger story than Trump, that you haven't been watching the news since 2015.
I disagree.
Okay. Well,
so
if you haven't watched the news since
if
2015.
it turns out that Biden did accept $5 million from Burisma,
Joe, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would that change your mind?
Not on whether or not
I think him taking bribes as vice president and probably president would be way bigger news.
It would not change my mind on what's the bigger story. And well, it would not change my mind on this being a distraction. It would change my mind on the fact that it's a huge story. So it's a huge story if that happens, right?
Okay.
But what doesn't change for me is the fact that, for me at least, the big fish right now, again, we've already talked about it. So Biden has about, I don't know, 60% support among Democrats, 40% really don't like him. Every Republican hates him, right? Donald Trump has about 40% support for Republicans. The rest don't care for him, and everyone else hates him, right?
Right.
More people in our country hate Trump than Biden, although it might be kind of close sometimes. I'm willing to admit that they're, neither one of them are very high on our list, right?
Right.
But I think that the bigger fish and the bigger story is absolutely Trump being indicted on 37 counts. My opinion. And I think throwing out a red herring to distract from Hunter Biden is cuckoo. It's completely ridiculous.
We'll see what ends up coming out. This article starts off, first of its kind, Illinois law will penalize libraries that ban books. Any books. Doesn't matter what it is.
So I like the premise.
The premise.
But there are guidelines I would put in place, right? I would put age restrictions on different things, right?
Wow,
like,
dare you?
I understand.
How dare you, Chris?
I understand what you're going to say here, but I would.
Good to know. So they want to take away any. So as it stands right now, in most states, the local school districts get to pick and choose what goes in the libraries and stuff.
Yes.
Right? There's general guidelines by the state, but for the most part, the local school districts get to choose.
Absolutely.
This entirely takes that away from them. So the states, or the school districts, will no longer have any control about what's put in their libraries, and any attempt to censor books will take away state funding from that school district.
Are there age limits?
Nope.
Okay.
There's no limits.
Yeah, so I mean, I disagree with this in the way that they've instituted it, right? So here's where I would go. I definitely think it's fair for the state to say, you will hold this book. I do. But
depending on what the book, sure.
For me, not even depending. But you could tell them.
Do you want 50 Shades of Grey in the
No. So I don't believe that would be on their list, right? So here's the thing. Let's say it was on a high school / college list, and you said, well, the high schoolers don't have access to this book, but the college students do.
Right.
I support it now.
Okay.
Now I support this law. I don't support it the way you just read it.
Agreed.
And so we're not gonna be able to argue on this because
this is just.
But by the way,
part of what I think.
If I'm doing this, the Bible is being reserved for 10th grade and higher.
That's fine. But
I'm just saying, disgusting book.
This is not the way to go.
Full of incest and rape and murder.
I think it's a little different than that. But
the Bible,
yeah,
There's no incest?
I think its presentation and the fact that it's a historical text is entirely different.
It's not historical.
But is it in elementary school?
It's not historical.
Or...
Show me Adam and Eve before you say it's historical. That's bullshit. I'm not letting you say it's historical.
A lot of
Show
it
me-
is proven to be
Show me
historical.
anything outside of the Bible that shows that Jesus was even a real dude.
Okay.
It doesn't actually exist.
Okay.
It doesn't. You don't.
All I'm saying
you don't want to look
is
it
the
up.
text is a historical text. It's a 2,000-year-old at least text, right? I think you can agree with that.
No, the New Testament was written about 500 years after they think Jesus lived. So
Okay, the New Testament, the Old Testament.
yeah, the Old Testament's
and the
older.
New Testament's derived from the Old Testament. So I will say again,
not really though.
let's say
So,
500
all right,
years after.
So the Old
that's still
Testament,
1,500
the Old
years
Testament
old.
tells the story of a God who if the second you say anything negative about him, he just smites you and you're dead. God now is like, oh, all touchy feely. So all right, here's what I want to present to you. You're telling me that this is a text about.
Wait, we're not turning this into
I am
an
a little bit.
argument
I'm
over the
just
Bible.
just this one statement.
Okay.
You're telling me that the Bible is the story of an all-knowing, all-powerful God who decided after the Old Testament,
Mhm.
well, I've been a little bit crabby. How about we just start loving? That's garbage. So he's not perfect.
I
So
didn't write it.
I know the whole Old Testament. You're saying he was faulty and he knew it, and then he changed his mind.
I'm saying that the Bible is a different text than what these people are going.
Bible's garbage.
As far as
Donald
their
Trump lawyers, they claim that his classified nuclear documents and all the other stuff he had, they were mementos of his time in office. But here's the thing. We specifically have mementos you're not allowed to keep. And one of those is top secret documents.
Yeah, don't disagree. I still want to know what is on these documents, right? Because we both have worked with secret.
Oh, I
top
want to know
secret
too.
material,
Yeah.
and we've both seen top secret stuff that we're like, what?
Yep.
Why is this
Absolutely.
even classified?
I
let
totally
alone
agree.
Top secret. Yeah.
From our time in the Navy, I saw plenty of stuff that was top secret SCI.
Right.
That it was like, that's really nothing.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
agree.
I would like to know what these documents actually are. Not
But-
necessarily the
But
information.
while it was really nothing, I also knew I couldn't take it home.
Don't-
I couldn't keep it in a bathtub. I couldn't tell you no whenever you said you wanted to
but
claim
you
it.
also weren't the guy in charge of declassifying.
I know, but then
so I think there's a little difference.
But hold on, declassifying absolutely does require a procedure. You can't just think it and have it declassified the way he said. That's not a thing.
Well, Biden brought his home, so
I'm not excusing Joe Biden either. I'm saying if you find them guilty of crimes,
Mhm.
I don't care who they are or what party they're from.
Okay.
I want those crimes investigated and I want them held accountable for whatever it is you find.
Okay.
So I'm not saying Joe Biden was fine having them in his garage.
well, he's under investigation for it. So we'll see.
Joe
what-
Biden?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And if they find
Supposedly, right?
if they find 37 indictable counts, I hope he hits every single one of them.
Good.
I'm not here just supporting him blindly. This one is
I'm
also not huge, but the Denver Nuggets, congratulations, they're the new NBA champions. They won last night, and of course, because we are America, that means we have to have a mass shooting where 9 people were wounded. Nobody died, and thank goodness nobody died.
I thought, I didn't even read this one. I just, I had seen.
That's because
Last
I
week
added
there was-
this after the fact.
Well, there was another shooting in, I think San Francisco last week. That
Yeah.
was 9 people shot, no one died. So I thought it was that one.
So the gunfire broke out downtown in their Lodo district, which I've never heard of, but it's known for its restaurants and nightlife. So, yeah, it's just, I don't know, it seems like it was celebratory. Investigators believe multiple shots were fired in a dispute. Oh, no, never mind.
Yeah,
Not
they were
celebratory.
arguing.
Between several people, roughly a mile. So I don't know if these were Miami fans that got shot or Denver fans that got shot. Maybe Miami fans were upset. I don't know. I think there's more that we need to see about this, but that's just awful.
Yeah.
Look, sports are amazing. I love them. I've never ever wanted to shoot somebody over their team winning, my team losing, whatever. I've never understood wanting to flip over cars because your team wins. I don't get any of it. To me, it's no better than those crybabies who overran the Capitol because their guy lost, right?
It's that mob mentality. And
Yeah.
there's science articles about how the brain changes when you get
Absolutely.
crowds of people together.
And it absolutely does. We've seen that in the Navy too, right? Like you see guys do things that they would never normally do in the Navy because there's a few other people with them. And so all of a sudden they can kind of justify that stuff for themselves. I think that's the end of our show for the day. Thanks to everyone for watching. If we have a Patreon now, join our Patreon. If you want to be the first Look, the first person that joins is going to get a lot of treats. I got some special things for them. They also get to know, they can get that, but they also get to know your name. I don't know if you know that, but as long as they sign an NDA, they can have your name. So look, if that's not worth $5 a month, I don't know what is. And by the way, you can cancel after the first month. You just
don't.
You don't want me to say that?
They're stuck forever.
You can't cancel. It's uncancelable.
Children burned by stolen acid poured on a playground slides in Massachusetts.
God, how bad?
So I guess there were pool chemicals. I don't know.
Oh, pool chemicals. So pool acid. So that's what, citric?
It depends.
Okay.
It was stolen from the park's pool building, so probably a little bit more.
Oh yeah, a little bit more
public
hardcore.
pools.
Yeah. They're different than my pool back out in the backyard.
Right. They climbed in through the ventilation shaft.
Wow.
So it didn't.
Wow. That's really going all out just to get your
Yeah. It wasn't a prank in my opinion.
No. This is awful.